Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Yanetta Emanuel, Public Policy Director for the ACLU of Maryland, and we're gathered here today with the family of William Green, as well as community members, speaking out on last week's verdict. In just a moment, I'll share a statement from the coalition, and then we'll hear from the family members, other family members of victims of police violence and community members, and there'll be opportunities for questions as well. In the wake of the recent acquittal of Corporal Michael Owen on all charges related to the killing of William Green, the Maryland Coalition of Justice and Police Accountability expresses profound heartbreak and deep disappointment in the justice system's failure to hold Mr. Owen accountable for this tragic incident. The acquittal of Corporal Michael Owen represents a grave miscarriage of justice that further exacerbates the erosion of trust in our law enforcement and judicial systems. The loss of Mr. William Green's life demands a thorough and unbiased examination of the events leading to his death, and the failure to secure a conviction on any charges only deepens the wounds inflicted upon his family and the community. This acquittal sadly adds to distressing historical pattern where police officers in Prince George's County have seemingly killed with impunity and taken the lives of many Black people. They killed Archie Elliott III, who was also handcuffed and seated in the front seat of a police cruiser when he was shot and killed, and there was no justice. They killed Gary Hopkins Jr., and there was no justice. They killed Prince Jones and Leonard Shand, and there was no justice. And countless others. And still there was never justice. This recurring theme raises significant concerns about the county and state's lack of accountability within law enforcement. And despite mounting evidence and public outcry, the acquittal of Michael Owen exemplifies a systemic failure to hold officers responsible for their actions. It is disheartening to witness another instance where law enforcement officers face no consequences for taking life of an unarmed individual. Especially in a case where not only was Mr. Green seated in the front seat of a police cruiser, but also handcuffed to his back, and never posed a threat to Mr. Owen or anyone before he was killed. The real threat, however, was in fact Mr. Owen. It was widely reported in the media that Owen not only killed before, but also had a violent history of brutalizing residents and filing false charges. This case, along with too many others over decades, underscores the urgent need for community control of the police disciplinary process. It is incomprehensible how officials in Prince George's County allowed Mr. Owen to get away with over a decade of misconduct, including triggering the early warning system, use of force several times. Yet he was still in a position to kill Mr. Green on duty. It was completely unacceptable that a police department that was under the investigation by the U.S. Department of Justice at the time of this incident, and sued by its own Black and Latinx officers for misconduct and fostering culture of racism, did not have body-worn cameras equipped on all of their officers, especially given the fact that PGPD's body-worn camera program was rolled out in 2017. It was senseless for full transparency not to be the number one priority for the police department. The Maryland Coalition for Justice and Police Accountability stands united with the demand of accountability for justice for William Green's death, and we also support the family's call upon the Department of Justice to conduct a criminal investigation into Corporal Owen and federally prosecute him for civil rights violations. And next, you'll hear from Nikki Owens, the cousin of William Green.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm Nikki Owens, the cousin of William Green, and this is Brenda Green. This is his mom. I'm making her stand here as uncomfortable as she is in this. I did put out a statement for the family, which you guys will receive, but I'm not going to read that here because there's some things that's not in that statement that I need to say to you guys, and that I want to be heard loud and clear. William Green, Boo Boo, was killed by Michael Owen. It was not self-defense. It was not manslaughter. It was not anything but a cold-blooded murder. That is what that was. William Green was handcuffed. William Green had been searched twice. William Green was lethargic through the entire incident. He was not a danger to anyone. He was not superhuman. There are so many things that the state of Maryland, the PG County State's Attorney in particular, could have done to ensure a guilty plea, a guilty verdict in this case. I'm pissed. I'm completely pissed off. And honestly, walking into this, I knew that I had to accept the verdict, and I accept the verdict for what it was. But what I don't accept is Aisha Braithboy standing in front of the press after the verdict, blaming my family, blaming William Green, blaming the police, and blaming the judge for her offices. Her office, they were incompetent. This not guilty verdict had nothing to do with William Green's actions. This verdict had absolutely nothing to do with our family not accepting a shitty ass plea deal that you offered this man. It has nothing to do with the judge rejecting that plea deal. And it definitely had nothing to do with the police investigation, because the police handed you this case. Michael Owen handed you this case. But what I'm finding out is the comfort that he felt firing 7 shots at my cousin is the same comfort she felt coming out here and placing the blame on us for her errors in this trial. If my cousin was arrested, they would have thrown every charge at him and made sure they stuck. They would have did exactly what they needed to do to ensure that he was sitting in jail. Yet they take this case, which my understanding is one of the worst cases of police brutality in the history of Prince George's County. And they don't throw the book at him. They don't even file the indictment correctly. They left themselves with one theory on this case when they did not have to. The judge even questioned why they boxed themselves into one theory. And then when they built their case, they didn't even build the case around this theory. They had 4 years to work on this case. And there are witnesses that they did not contact until this year because they wanted to cover up their mistakes. They had time to go back, drop these charges, and file them correctly to guarantee themselves that they did it right. They had time to throw the book because guess what? They took almost 4 years to prosecute this man for anything. Yet they didn't. But what she did do was come out here and blame us for their incompetence. What she should have done was came out here and said, no comment until I meet with the family, and we will do a joint press conference together to address this. That's what she should have done. But that's not what she did. And that is the theme of how this office has been working with us through this whole entire process. They have lied to us. They have tried to deceive us. They have spent 4 years trying to not prosecute this case due to their errors. I will be reaching out to the DOJ with everything in my soul to make sure that they prosecute this man. I will be filing complaints with everybody under the damn sun about her office and their actions. Anybody I can file a complaint with, anybody that can investigate her, I will make sure they investigate her office. If she cared about us as a family, if she cared about this case, she wouldn't have walked out of that damn courtroom and blamed us for this verdict. She wouldn't have blamed the judge. She wouldn't have blamed William Green, and she wouldn't have blamed the police. She would have acknowledged that her office played a role in this. She would have acknowledged that she did not throw the book at this man. She should have questioned herself before she came out here and questioned our actions, but she didn't. So I don't have any kind of love for her at this point. She owes us an apology. And I don't want to have a meeting in her office. I want her to stand her ass in front of these TV cameras the same way she did that night and fucking apologize to my family. That's what I want. I've been very nice about some of the things that they've done. I've been very reasonable about some of the things they've done. I've tried to work with them. I've tried to be respectful of the job that they had to do because I understand that their job is not easy. But the fact that she's never tried a case in her entire career just proves to me that she does not understand the gravity of what she did to me and my family. She doesn't understand the gravity of what she did to William Green. She don't understand the gravity of any of her actions because she doesn't even know what her own attorneys do because she's never done it. So before she questions us, question yourself and ask yourself what you could have done better. You had an opportunity to do this the right way. You had an opportunity to consider my family. You had an opportunity to consider our emotional well-being and our mental well-being after that verdict, and you didn't. So I'm not going to consider any of those factors when I come after you, and that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm coming for you, and I'm not alone. I'm not alone. And you may think you loved, but trust me, there's enough people questioning your actions that you will be dealt with. Plain and simple. There, you will be held accountable. And we will get answers as to what went wrong. Because see, I sat in that courtroom. I know what was said. And I know this man should not be free. So I'm going to find out what went wrong. And when I do, I'm going to hold you accountable. And I hope that there are other people, other politicians in the state that's willing to hold her accountable. I hope that every resident in Prince George's County shows up to hold her accountable. Any other person who have experienced the injustice of that office, please reach out to us because we're going to stand behind you because we know how you feel. And we know that you may not have had a platform to speak up, to say what they did to you, but we do. And I'm willing to share my platform to get your story out. Thank you.
Yeah.
Next, we'll hear from Ronnie Green, the brother of William Green. Sorry, next we'll hear from Sheena, which is a cousin of William Green.
Hello, I am Sheena Green, William Green's cousin. Nikki pretty much summed up everybody's emotion. I thought I was gonna really have something to say, but Nikki, just doubling back, pretty much yes with what she said. The family is definitely hurt behind the verdict. It's like a double slap in the face. Because we just knew that he would be guilty for this. My cousin is missed. Just know that. He is missed a lot, not just by his family. A lot of people know him. He makes friends or made friends everywhere he went. If any of you did not know him directly and he was somewhere where you were, by the time you left, you would have thought that you grew up with him. He was funny. I don't care how serious the situation may have been to make light of it so that you wouldn't feel bad. He would make sure that you cracked a smile. Like you couldn't be sad or mad around him. He was like your everything in one. He cooked, he cleaned, he fixed things. He didn't do just one thing. Boo Boo was Boo Boo. Boo Boo was the jack of all trades, and he is deeply, deeply missed. The way he left should not have been. It shouldn't have been on nobody. Nobody at all deserves what happened to him. It's just sad. It hurts real bad that we waited almost 4 years to hear definitely what we didn't think that we would hear. And it's sad that if it was any one of us standing out here that had done the same thing, it wouldn't have probably made it past 30 days. It wouldn't have probably made it past 3 weeks. This would have been open and shut really, really fast. And just the way that the instructions were dealt out for these juries to make a decision, it was like the decision was already made for them. They didn't have evidence to go by, they had instructions. And those instructions I know was confusing to a lot of them. I know that they were. I know out of those 12, I know every one of them could not have really thought not guilty. This has to stop, but it won't stop unless your voices are voiced. You have to say something. You cannot just sit back and think because it's you or one other person that it doesn't mean anything. It only takes one person to stand out to give another person courage to say something because there's more people out here. It's definitely more people out here. It didn't just stop at the others that he done something to, or not just him, any other police officer out here that is using excessive and unnecessary force. But as a community, as people, as loved ones, as friends, y'all have to know that y'all have a voice. You can say something. They hushed us up for a good little minute. That was definitely a problem. But now we can say everything that was ever held back. This whole case was just wrong. Everything about this case was wrong. There was no right in it. I don't know all the names like Nikki Dukes. Nikki definitely done her homework. But this state's attorney, the prosecution, I just felt like they did a half-ass job. They did. I don't feel like it was for Boo Boo. It was not for my cousin. It was not.
Done it on purpose to hide it for that federal case.
It's a cover up.
Yeah.
That's just that. What they're covering up, we don't know. It's definitely a cover up. Who he's protecting, we don't know. Somebody's being protected. But in this case, it was not my cousin. He was not protected. If you ask yourself, who has enough strength to be handcuffed behind their back to do the things that they claim that he did? What type of threat is anybody to you who is discombobulated, can't even see his own hands in front of his face or stand up straight? How is that a threat to anybody? A police officer with 10 years of training. How do you not know how to handle that situation? How is it that your only resolution was to shoot? How? How? 10 years of training. You were not a rookie. This wasn't your first day on the streets. 10 years. And you mean to tell me that your only resolution was to shoot him? 7 times. 7. Somebody with superhuman strength. There was not a broke windshield. There was not a disarrayed car. If y'all saw the pictures, if you were in the courtroom, that does not look like somebody that has superhuman strength got into any type of struggle with anybody. You can't explain nothing handcuffed and shot. You just can't explain it. You can't explain it. And the fact that things were pushed up under the rug, things were not mentioned about the other individuals that he had encounters with, that's bullshit. Why couldn't it have been presented? Why wasn't it said? My cousin was not the first person that he killed. Why wasn't that said? This man had many of charges against him, many actions against him, and yeah, the police department failed him. They did because they kept sweeping things under the rug. They didn't fix it when it first happened. There was a time in the courtroom when his attorney said that he started his day out like a regular shift. There was nothing going on with him. It was nothing wrong. How do you know? This man was now in a corrupt case. He was doing other things outside of protecting and serving. How do you know how his day was? He's a co-defendant to 5 other people. How you know where his mind was at that time? You don't know who talked to him before his shift started. You don't know what his frame of mind was. But what we do know is that he killed my cousin. My cousin is not here to say what happened. There's only 2 people that know exactly what happened, and one of them is dead. And then the other one was let free. Let free. You're gone. Not guilty for nothing that you did, and then you smile. You smiled about it.
Say his name.
William
Say
Reed.
his name.
William
Say
Reed.
his name.
William Reed.
I'm sorry to say, I mean, y'all know, if I'm gonna say it because I held back. If he was white, he would not been killed. I hate to say it like that.
Next, we'll hear from the mother. Next, we'll hear from Miss Marion Gray Hopkins, the mother of Gary Hopkins, who was killed by PG police in 1999. And Miss Marion is also the founder of the Coalition for Concerned Mothers.
Good evening, and thanks you for being here this evening. Again, my name is Marion Gray Hopkins, and I stand in solidarity with the family of William Boo Green, along with my daughter who is here with me, the sister of my son, Gary Hopkins Jr. I'm also the executive director of the Coalition of Concerned Mothers, which is an organization, unfortunately, that is comprised of mothers and other impacted family members whose loved ones have been murdered by law enforcement in a racist and unjust system. More importantly, I know and understand the pain of this family as I am the mother and now have to be the voice of my son, Gary Hopkins Jr., who was murdered unjustly by 2 Prince George's County police officers, Brian Catlett, the shooter, and Devin C. White, the instigator, on November 27, 1999, following his attendance at a dance at a local fire station where he was the peacemaker that dreadful night. Only Brian Catlett was charged and ultimately acquitted, as we see in so many cases. There was no accountability and there was no justice for Gary or for my family. I stand here 24 years later in disbelief, appalled, angry. Damn it, I'm frustrated, I'm outraged at the verdict of not guilty for this murderer, former Corporal Michael Owen. For me and my family, this is like deja vu. Sorry. Our case was the first time in Prince George's County history that an officer in uniform was charged for killing a civilian, although it wasn't murder. We, as in the William Green case, had incompetent attorneys. We had a state's attorney, Jack Johnson, who was seeking to move into a higher position, which he did, by using my family as a pawn in his political game that even today appears to be a political game. As with the case with my son, the officer should have been found guilty. And now in this case where I sat in that courtroom every single day, I heard the testimony. I saw the evidence that was presented that clearly showed Michael Owen was guilty. I have no idea what the jurors saw, what they heard, what the instructions were that they were given, but they got it wrong. They got it wrong. This case, in my opinion, was, I think Aisha Braves said it was not a slam dunk. This case was a slam dunk. The verdict is another indication that Black and brown people, there will be no justice, and there is no justice if you're a Black or brown person in this county and across this country today. We will never get justice unless we revamp the system, bringing closure to the loopholes that protect police, allowing them, like with Michael Owen, to go free, to do what he has done in the past 10 years of his career, to brutalize, to terrorize the citizens of Prince George's County, and kill again and again and again. This man has murdered 3 times. And I tell the citizens of Prince George's County, if you don't want this injustice to hit your door, because there's a possibility that it can, then we must band together with the power that we as the people have and tell the elected officials that enough is enough. Again, I stand with this family and support the demands that they are making and asking for as they work towards what we feel could be some sense of accountability for the wrongful death of their beloved William Boo Boo Green. Thank you.
Next, we'll hear from Miss Dorothy Elliott, the mother of Archie Elliott III, who was killed by Prince George's County Police in 1993, and a member of the Prince George's County Coalition for Police Accountability.
Good evening, everyone. I'm glad that you're here to support the Green family. My heartfelt thoughts go out to the Green family and what they're going through, and especially after that not guilty verdict. This was another case of Prince George's justice, and Prince George's justice equals a travesty of justice. It reminds me of the case of my son, and there are great similarities in what happened to William Green and my son. 30 years ago, my son was stopped by a District Heights police officer. My son was searched, the same as William Green. My son was handcuffed with his hands behind his back, the same as William Green. He was placed in the front seat of a police cruiser, the same as Mr. Green. And I think that's where the similarities end. Wayne Chaney and Jason Levitt stood by the cruiser after my son had been placed in there. 22 shots rang out, and 14 of those shots struck my son. He was a sitting target for those people. He didn't pose a threat. It was very barbaric and heinous. I believe that what they did was wrong. Was this another case of Prince George's justice? Usually when police kill, they don't get any time. They get a slap on the wrist and then they go on their way. Wayne Chaney killed a second time after killing my son. And again, no indictments, no charges. After a 7-month investigation, the grand jury declared that they could not indict those officers. That tore our world upside down, because when you have a son who's healthy, no problems, on his way home, inebriated, however, from stopping to do happy hour like a lot of people do. And he told that officer, all I want to do is just go home and go to sleep. That didn't happen. So I'm here today to make sure that this young man's name will always be remembered. I vowed that I can start a scholarship where people will remember. And the purpose of the scholarship was to help minority high school graduates to go to HBCUs. We must continue the fight. For those of you in the community who've never been involved, you need to get involved. You don't know what laws are being passed. You don't know anything unless you do get involved. And if you stay home and sit idly by, there will be laws that may adversely affect you. So please take heed. And again, we're here to support the Green family. And as Marion said, there are too many mothers in that coalition for concerned mothers. The numbers are growing steadily, but we need to curb that. The chains of justice will be broken if we continue the fight. Thank you.
Hold the police responsible just like you do the guys in the street.
Next, we'll hear from Tawanda Jones, who is the sister of Tyrone West, who was killed by Baltimore City Police in 2013 and is a force behind West Wednesdays.
Thank you so much. And my heart goes out to William Green's family, as well as all the mothers that stand here today that have lost their loved ones. For me to lose my brother, and when I got that call from my sister to say that William Green killer walked away free, it took me back to the path that I've been chasing for 10 long years, the path for justice. Trying to go to Annapolis to testify as they fall asleep and laugh at us. Go to every town hall meeting, taking time from my family, being a mother, teacher, all that, for them to laugh at us, turn their cell phones on, and sometimes escort us out just for speaking our mind in a peacefully way. So I realized there is no justice. It's just us trying to hold these killer cops accountable. While they're wreaking havoc in our community, they're protected by all these laws. Qualified immunity, and you're killing the whole entire black community. It's sad and it's disgusting, and it needs to stop. And if they didn't get it right 30 years ago, the same thing, just a different victim with Archie Elliott, handcuffed in the front, hands behind his back, placed up front, I'm sorry. And the same thing happened now in 2023 to our brother. Do we honestly think that they're going to actually get it right? They're not. There is no justice. It's just us. We need to knock this dirty system down and build it back up. I'm tired of trying. And if I didn't care, we wouldn't be out here tonight. But how many mothers got to cry? How many babies got to die before y'all get it right? Y'all don't have no plans. I learned early when my brother Tyrone West, an unarmed man, was beat to death by 17 killer cops in broad daylight. Pepper spray, tase, kicked. And what they do, they make it seem like our loved ones got what they deserve and that they were super Negroes. Nobody can adore the murders, the bloody murders, the executions that they placed upon our babies and our brothers, fathers, and mothers. But they make it seem like we're inhuman. Oh, he got kicked by a baton. He got stomped in the face. He got pepper sprayed. He got beat down by big men and women. But they ain't do nothing. There is no justice. It's just us. And then the saddest part, and I'm a great end. Everybody is in the bed together. And then for these politicians to come out and disrespect families, shame on Alicia Brave, boy. And I said it. Shame. How dare you? How dare you disrespect the family? And it's sad. Remember, all skin folks ain't kin folks. And they keep using that. Oh, they gonna say, no, they ain't caring about nothing but their paycheck. We're in a capitalist world that don't care about anything but money. That's all it's about. Money. I had to turn down millions of dollars because you weren't going to silence my voice to talk about them 17 maniacs. I had to go in my pocketbook because David Fowler lied and said my brother died of a heart attack and dehydration when he was murdered. 50 grand, I ain't doing GoFundMe, that was my money. My brother had the last word, but did it matter? 542 weeks, we still out here. Same pain every time somebody get murdered with injustice. It's all of us. So I'm going to be here with my sister Nikki. I'm be here with all the mothers and fathers. Like my mother William mom said, we don't sign up for this club. This is a nightmare that nobody asked for. And if we don't get it right, guess what? You're a phone call, a door knock away from it happening to you. Mic check.
William Green.
Can't stop, won't stop. They'll kill the cops or in cell blocks.
Can't stop, won't stop. They'll kill the cops or in cell blocks.
Next, we're going to hear from Tamara and Beverly, who are the co-founders of Concerned Citizens for Bail Reform and members of the Prince George's County Coalition for Police Accountability as well.
Good evening. I'm Tamara McKinney. I'm the co-lead of Concerned Citizens for Bail Reform. And I stand here with my business partner, Beverly John. I'm not an impacted family member, but my plea is to the community. Why should these mothers and fathers have to fight this fight alone? They're tired. They're weary. They're distraught. This was the second case that I bothered to sit in. I learned a lot. I learned about DNA. I learned about expert witnesses and their testimony. And I heard a man take the stand in defense of himself and tell a totally opposite story. I'm not sure where the breakdown occurred, but it definitely occurred when the jury went out to make a decision. I'm not accusing them of anything. I'm accusing the system. I'm accusing the system of being 100% made to what it was meant to do, which was to destroy certain communities of color, and there's issue of classism. I don't know what the jurors had to do to make the decision they made, but I don't know how they slept that night. Again, I'm not faulting them. When we started out attacking bail reform. Because of the 6th and 8th Amendment in the Constitution, we know that Black and brown people and people that are poor are treated differently in this system, and they're not allowed to come home over a petty pair of jeans from Macy's that was stolen. But yet I could be a corporate CEO and steal millions and still go home and eat lobster and steak. When I started learning about this system and I saw how it operates, I could not do anything but stand with the families that are impacted. Because I am not a mother of sons, but I'm a mother of 4 grandsons. And I want them to make it home. And one makes poor decisions all the time. He's young, but should his life be the price for making poor decisions? And people talk about our kids in the community and what they're doing. You can come up with laws and punishment, but you can't come up with the programs and support that the families need. You know when they come in kindergarten, nursery school, pre-K. You see the families. You know who need resources. Why are we giving it to them? But no, it's a plan. It's a purpose. It's a plan and a purpose. That's why you won't do it. So you can plan, you can make your laws, and you can talk about what the kids are doing and they need to be punished, and then you point your finger at the parents, but you don't give them resources either. The genie is out the bag. You're not pulling that genie back in. So instead of focusing on the end, why don't you focus on the beginning? And to the families that think you're safe because of your zip code and your income,
That's right. Any zip code.
that means nothing. It means nothing. It means nothing. So what I'm asking the community to do is to stop sitting with your phones in your hand, making comments about the things that you see, wearing t-shirts, get up, get your coat on. I don't care how cold it is, get down to Annapolis, get to the county council office, talk with the families that have been impacted and find out ask them, what do you need? They need support. They need change, and they cannot do it by themselves. So God bless you, but I'm standing here, not impacted, but I will do whatever it takes, whatever it needs to support these families.
That's right.
We need more like you.
Stop the hatred.
Yes.
Come together.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah, thank you guys. Tamara, you said a lot. You said what needed to be said. Enough is enough.
That's right.
Enough is enough. I stand, and as all of us do, we stand in solidarity and support for all the mothers, all the families that are impacted. I'm not directly impacted either, but I am impacted by the fact that I've come to love you all. We all are fighting together for the justice that you deserve to have.
In it to win it.
In it to win it. That's right. I don't know. Back in 2021, the Maryland Police Accountability Act was passed. We got all excited because, we thought that was an inroads to some type of accountability, right? Well, every county in Maryland since then has implemented a police accountability board. To what extent has that really helped?
0%.
The reason why is because we still, with the weak bill that was passed, do not have anybody investigating the police other than the police. We know that the police cannot investigate themselves. They've shown it time and time again. Michael Owen, 10 years on the force, all these previous misconducts, excessive force, killings.
That's right.
And he still was allowed to be able to be in service to kill William Green after 10 years, after all of that. They can't hold themselves accountable. They will not. So the counties have done what we've been able to do to get those bills where we need them to be. But guess what? Our Prince George's County bill this session was derailed because of an interpretation of the state law. So guess what? What we getting ready to do? We getting ready to go back to Annapolis, and no more nice. Let's just do a little testimony. We need to shut that shit down. We need to shut it down for real. We need to let them know. We need to let them know that enough is really enough, and we're not playing these fucking games anymore. People's lives are at stake here. So that's where we're gonna be. So what can we do as a whole? We're gonna look at this crowd. This is a good crowd right now. We can do more. We can have more folks out there. So let's bring Lottie Dottie and everybody to come on down to Annapolis and show these people, our legislators, our leadership, I guess, what we really about and what we want. Get what we deserve.
And our children matter.
Yeah.
Both sides talk a good game until they get in there, and then it's something.
Oh yeah, then it's
all about the sabotage stuff and
yeah.
water it down.
Thank you.
And Owen still got more charges that he faces. I wouldn't be surprised. if
And
they,
do me a
line
favor.
'em off on that one too.
When you vote, don't vote because somebody sat in the front pew of your church.
That's right.
Do your research and do your homework.
That's right.
Don't vote because your pastor brought them up to the front and they shook your hand.
Yeah.
Do your research. And I'm asking the churches, when the school doors close, open yours.
That's right.
Help feed the communities. You sit on every corner in my community. Help feed the kids. Help get programs. Open your doors. You get a tax write-off that I don't have. But yet you want my tithes.
Don't be a pew woman.
Next, we're going to hear from Tracy Shand, who's the sister of Leonard Shand.
Hey, everybody. It's been a minute since I've been up here. I feel out of place. You know what? I'm wondering, how do you expect us to be civilized when we live in a barbaric world? I'm not comprehending how you expect all of us to be civilized and we live among a barbaric government system. That's what's bothering me. It's kind of like I cannot comprehend how you figured that Michael Owens can get off on murdering a man, handcuffed behind his back, sitting in the front seat of a vehicle. Not even a baby boy, just born, will bring sense out of nonsense in that situation. It doesn't make any sense at all.
No, whatsoever.
And you keep doing it. And you won't charge either you won't charge the officers or you won't punish them. You find a way to let them off. Either the judge write on this piece of paper or answer these questions that's structured to let this person off, or you have a jury that consists of, the state's attorney's office, Secret Service agents. I didn't even know Secret Service agents could do jury duty. That's mind-boggling to me. And in the federal government at that. You know, you playing with people. You got people on the jury actually sitting there that has sons and daughters, and they are ex-cops. There was, what is his name? Emmanuel out Baltimore. What's his last name? You remember? Okay, sorry. Well, Emmanuel out Baltimore got killed by a cop. And one of the jurors actually had a conversation with another judge while he was on jury duty for that case. And the judge just let it continue going. Didn't dismiss him, nothing. Right? And then you have, Angela also Brooks.
Talk about it.
Girl, you better pray you live a long life because you ain't going to heaven. I can promise you that. Because when you sit there and you let Officer Whiting stab my brother, stab him up, put him in the hospital, almost killed him. I have the letter where you denied charging Officer Whiting on charges of stabbing my brother. I have it. And I will post it in due time, sweetheart. In due time. Patience is always a virtue.
She running for Senate.
You understand? Patience is always a virtue. When my brother was writing you letters telling you to charge that officer, you were state's attorney and you did not charge him. You said you're not going to try. I had the letter clearly and your name is signed on the bottom of it. That you're not charging an officer that committed a crime against another person in the community. And it was proven by video. I even have the video that showed proof because you were trying to charge my brother for crimes that he did not commit. And the video came back and showed that he was innocent and that the officer attacked him.
and you did not do your job and charge the officer and put him behind bars, to where a year later, a whole nother group of officers came and killed my brother. Again, for something he did not do. I'm still waiting for you to bring proof. Again, y'all couldn't get him the first time, and he said it. He said these exact words. Y'all tried to kill me last year, and y'all coming back to finish the job. With William Green, you actually killed him.
Dead man can't talk.
You actually murdered him. And you sit back and you still get that man still walk the streets. And then to show how much a criminal he is, he's being charged with additional charges of insurance fraud and all this. So this proves that he is a criminal. This is a criminal that has a badge. And you didn't think that it was right to charge him? The judge on the stand, I didn't even get his name. I wish I had got his name. You know, you didn't think to say, well, no, this isn't good. And the way how y'all work, y'all think y'all slick. Y'all say, well, okay, we can't bribe them because they're gonna go back and talk. We can't threaten them because they're gonna go to the media. So let's word the questions that's being asked of them to get off these officers and let these officers continue. And then on top of that, not in defense of officers, because the ones that do wrong, they do wrong. But then you go ahead and you harass the officers in the police department, bringing emotional and mental stress upon them, and they come out here and attack their community. How does that make sense? Please make it make sense to me. So, like I said, how do you expect us to be civilized in a barbaric world? Because I'm not understanding. I need for you to get it right for me. Okay? I'm sorry, Nikki, that your I don't know where she gone. But I'm sorry, Nikki, for your cousin getting killed. I'm sorry to the family that they their family members had to get murdered. I'm sorry to Tawanda and everybody else, including myself. My brother was murdered for no reason. My brother was kicked in his back. Wasn't armed at the time when he was kicked in his back. They actually sat there, tried to run him over with an SUV. If you use your car, if I use my car as a weapon, I will go to jail. Why aren't these officers being charged for committing a crime?
I hate to keep saying it, but if, like I said once before, if he was white, it will never happen.
Even if they're white, it still does happen. So it's not even about, when I sit back and I think about it, it's not even a white or black thing. It's just that the world is just so messed up and the government system is supporting the corruption because they're getting paid 1 penny above $1.
Minority.
Because when we sit back and say, oh, well, it's because we're black. Yes, we live in a black community, but Prince George's County is the richest black community in the United States. And it's ran by black government systems. We got a black governor. You have a black county executives. But it's so much that is so wrong to where everybody's pulling the strings. It's a puppet. And the top Congress, we're looking at you. You're the high power ones. And when you don't get your way, you send out your snipers. That's the military system and everybody else that you got tapping everybody's phones and then setting them up. We done see too much of what's going on happening over and over again. And it comes to a point that, we're just tired of it. And sooner or later, I'm old. But there's the young kids coming up. And your kids will suffer for your mistakes.
Something else. What goes around one way or another.
Next, we're going to hear from Gus, who's a member of the Prince George's County Coalition and is also a member of the Ujima People's Progress Party.
Initially, I was thinking about talking about lessons, but I don't think that's the right word. I think the right word is affirmations. And affirmation number one is that this notion that black representation is equivalent to black justice is absolutely wrong. It simply isn't the case. It isn't the case here in Prince George's County. It isn't the case in Atlanta when they're fighting against Cop City. And you know they're trying to bring a $330 million Cop City to Baltimore. All right, just so y'all know. Okay? All right. So that's the first affirmation. The second affirmation is this notion that we can reform this system. We got to get over it. It can't be reformed. Okay? 30 years ago in the Archie Elliott case, and now 30 years later, this case, they're amazingly similar. And in spite of our best efforts, this is not about people not trying. In spite of our best efforts, reform hasn't worked. It hasn't worked. Okay? So what we have to do is we have to look at these systems that we're talking about, and we have to see that we have to radically deconstruct them and radically rebuild them. Okay? And when we rebuild them, they're going to look like something we've never even recognized. Okay? Under a rebuilt system, and those of us in the Eugene People's Progress Party, we feel that a rebuilt system would be in the form of a community control of police, not community policing. That's just a PR thing. Community control of police, where we control the budgets, we control who we hire, who we fire. Under community control of police, Michael Owen wouldn't even he'd been gone a long time ago, or not even got on the force. Okay, but to do this, we have to study these systems. We have to be committed to studying the systems in which we're in. Okay, this is a settler colonial project, the United States. Okay, we can't forget that. And in a settler colonial project, the type of violence that was visited upon William Green is the norm and not the exception. All right, whether it's here today or whether it's in occupied Palestine today. All right, it's a settler colonial project, and that's the way it works. Okay, the last affirmation that I'll talk about is the fact that if we're going to change this system, we have to have a radical change in our tactical thinking. All right, a radical change in our paradigm, because the system is not going to be changed from the top down. It will only be changed from the bottom up, and that's our task, and we welcome you all to join us.
Next, we're going to hear from Antonio Mingo, who is a survivor of gun violence.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Antonio Mingo, community activist, former protest organizer for DC, and also a gun violence survivor. I'm not even going to be before y'all long because I know it's freezing out here, but I will say, for one, we all are William Green. And I'm going to be honest, I usually try not to get too emotional with things like this, but it should have never happened. And I'm going to be honest, and I said this before yesterday in one of the interviews I had as well. A lot of these churches got to step up, because a lot of y'all pastors and bishops and all that, y'all in the bed with the enemy, along with y'all politicians. I don't want your sign in my front yard if you ain't doing your job. If I don't see you in the community physically, I don't want to see your sign in my community. There's no reason, and that's the other thing, man. We got our people got to be way more accountable as well. As in, for this family, William Green's family, and I call him King Green. That's what I call him. I call him King Green because all of us black men are kings. All of the black women, our women, they're queens. Our kids come some princesses, you know? And it's sad because behind these cameras or behind closed doors, I have two black boys, black sons, that one of them used to they be in school and say, hey, you know, when I grow up, I want to be a police officer. They don't even want to be that now because they see in the news. You know, why would they want to be something that they seeing is doing something to the community that is wrong? You know, and I don't hide the truth from my kids. And I'm gonna be honest, you know, I hear a lot about the state's attorney, and yes, she's definitely wrong. But see, I like to go all the way to the head, because they say if the head ain't right, the body out of order. And I'm gonna tell you right now, County Exec Angela Also Brooks, yeah, I have a real issue with you. You and the DC mayor. Y'all both know, because y'all both endorsed each other. I did my homework. Y'all definitely are. It was news coverage where they sat down with each other, where they endorsed each other. And that's the other thing, man. Election year is coming up in like what, a month? You know, next year. You know, so like I said, if I don't see y'all politicians, y'all council members and things of that sort in my community, in our community, I don't want to see your signs in the community. because it does nothing. I'm telling you, and I've done my homework, and just to educate my people who don't know, the reason I'm going for the county is that because of the fact was she was once a state's attorney. So I did my homework. I know I'm an educated black man. That's one thing I did on my off season was educate myself, and I want to educate my young brothers as well. And to the older ones, as an older men that's out here, man, we gotta step up more, and we gotta stand with these women, with these mothers as well. And for the ones who already is, I commend you. But this goes to the ones that you know who I'm talking to. At the end of the day, a lot of us more black men, we gotta stand behind these families. We gotta stand behind each other as well. So, because they're trying to get us out of here. That's right. We all are William Green. At the end of the day. So that's all I have to say. It's cold out here. I don't want to hold nobody up, but I thank y'all. And again, to the William Green family, my heart really goes out. If you need anything I can do. This is not for no photo op. I don't care about these cameras right here. I don't. This is me directly speaking to y'all for real. If y'all need anything, please let me know. Thank y'all.
And last, we'll hear from Dawn Dalton, who's a directly impacted mother and also the founder of the Just Us Initiative.
Good evening, everyone. Again, my name is Dawn Dalton. I am the co-founder of the Just Us Initiative, and I stand here tonight as a directly impacted mother. I'm happy that I'm able to say that my son has been harmed and dragged through the criminal justice system, of course, unjustly, but I have my son, unlike a lot of the relatives, the mothers, the cousins, the sisters that are out here this evening. Want to say one thing, and this is major to me. I hope the system that is currently in place understands that you created a monster and we now have a monster walking amongst us. What happened in the case of William Green should terrify everybody that can hear my voice right now. If it happened to them on this type of evidence, with this situation, it can happen to anybody. So for everybody that feels real comfortable right now, God bless you, because you could be any of us on any given day. And if you think it cannot happen, you better think again, because all of us standing right here now thought it could not happen to us. Okay, we all have to stick together. We have to hold our legislators accountable. Instead of legislators talking about putting kids on chain gangs and what they're going to do to punish them and how they're going to punish their parents, let's talk about the wraparound services that we can provide to these children and we can provide to these families. People are struggling out here. Don't criminalize Black people for every little thing, the position and the predicament that you put Black people in. I'm urging everybody, get engaged. For those of us that know, it's our job to start to educate. We all got to stick together. It's all of our battle. Because again, it can and it has happened. It can happen again tomorrow. And we'll be in the same situation unless we get these laws changed. Hold your legislators accountable. Hold them accountable.
If they're not right, don't vote for them.
And all of us, we need to start teaching our young people, our families, our community about the criminal justice system. What really goes on behind those closed doors? A whole lot of us get run through the system and we still come out not understanding anything. But I can promise you this, had my son been the one to shoot a William Green or had the tables been turned, my son's Black ass would have been gone. Let's do better. Everybody, all of us are accountable. Every single one of us, from the legislators to the individuals standing here tonight, to the people listening, the whole community, we have to be accountable. We have to do better. And again, remember, we have a monster walking amongst us.
No justice, no peace. No crooked police. No peace.
Thank you.
No justice, no peace. No crooked police. No justice. No peace. No justice. No justice. No justice.
Last, we're just going to hear from Nikki Owens once again, just to read the full demands from the family. Thank you.
Okay, y'all, it's kind of dark. Thank you. Okay. You know, one thing I like to say is people don't understand how emotional this is. We have been reliving this every freaking day. We have been reliving this. Relive this. This is his family. We're broken. We're broken by this. This is what they fail to realize is they killed one man and they've impacted all these people. Everybody standing out here is impacted by this one death. This is not secondary trauma. This is first-hand trauma. These people have been standing and saying his name from the very beginning. They've been sitting here fighting with me, going to Annapolis, they've been doing it for almost 4 years right here. They experienced the same disbelief, the same grief, the same shock that our family experienced. These people cried. They never met my cousin. They cried. I don't think people understand. William Green touched people even after he died. Can you imagine the people he touched while he was here? He was amazing. He was a great dude. He was absolutely freaking amazing. And guess what? He's going to stay amazing.
That's right. That's right.
We're asking the U.S. Department of Justice to investigate the killing of William Green. Corporal Michael Owen violated the civil and constitutional rights of William Green and many others in his 10 years on the PGPD. The state of Maryland had over 10 years to hold him accountable for his volatile behavior, which includes triggering the use of force early warning system multiple times. They did nothing. The Prince George's County Police Department, the state's attorney, the county executive, all played a role in allowing him to remain certified as a police officer. We are asking the U.S. Department of Justice to investigate the actions of Prince George's County State's Attorney, the State's Attorney's Office processes, procedures, and in the prosecution of William Green. We are asking the Maryland Attorney General Anthony Brown to investigate the processes and procedures of the Prince George's County State's Attorney's Office, not just in the prosecution of the killing of William Green, but their handling of all cases under Aisha Braveboy. I appreciate you guys for coming out, and I appreciate all the people who have stuck by me, because I'm telling you, it is hard to get press for some of these cases, but you guys have stuck behind us all these years, and I greatly appreciate it. And I greatly appreciated you guys allowing us to give a voice to the other mothers, sisters, cousins, grandmothers, friends of other victims, allowing us to listening to them, printing their words, airing them on television. We definitely appreciate you guys for your handling of this case and just overall giving more people a voice. So thank you.
That's right. Thank you.
At this time, if there's any questions, we can open up for any questions. But other than that, it will conclude this press conference. Any questions? Thank you all.